Pygmalion by George Bernard Shaw. Act 1. The setting is London, under the portico of St. Paul Church at about 11 p.m. Number 1. A group of people took shelter under the portico of St. Paul Church. They had just got out of a theater. 2. Mrs. Ainsford and her daughter Clara were angry with Freddie, Mrs. Ainsford's son, because he couldn't get them a cab when they got out of the theater. 3. Freddie came, but he hadn't got a cab, for love or money. It means anyway, he couldn't get a cab. Clara was angry with her brother. She told him, "And what about us? Are we to stay here all night in this drought, with next morning on? You selfish pig." Number 4. Freddie went again to get a cab. While he was opening his umbrella, he hit a flower girl coming under the portico, and Freddie scattered her basket of flowers. The girl shouted, "No, then, Freddie, look where you are going, dear." 5. The flower girl was called Eliza Doolittle. She was about 18 years old. She was beautiful, but filthy. Filthy means dirty. She was wearing coarse, grim clothes, sailor's hat, heavy coat and boots, and an apron. She was poor. Number 6. Mrs. Ainsford asked Eliza how she knew the name of her son. She told her, "I heard you call him by it. Don't try to deceive me." Eliza told Mrs. Ainsford that she called him Freddie or Charlie, same as you might yourself if you were talking to a stranger. Mrs. Ainsford gave Eliza 6 pence as a compensation for the scattered flowers. Clara was angry that it was a large sum of money. Clara was Mrs. Ainsford's daughter. She was angry that it was a large sum of money. She told her mother, "It's a penny a bunch." It means the flowers, the scattered flowers. Number 7. Colonel Pickering, an ex-serviceman in the British Army in India, came under the portico of St. Paul. Ex-serviceman, that means that he was a military man before. He was also interested in linguistics and phonetics. He wrote a famous book called Dialects of Sanskrit. Eliza chased him to buy some flowers. He gave her 3 pences, but she gave him no flowers. Number 8. One of the bystanders told Eliza that there was a cabernet, it means an eye, a detective, a spy, taking some notes. Eliza thought the note taker a policeman who might take her to prison. Number 9. The note taker wasn't a policeman, but he was Professor Higgins, who was a professor of linguistics and phonetics. He wrote a book called Higgins' Universal Alphabet. He was a genius. He could originate anyone from his speech. That means that he could locate anyone from his talk. Number 10. Colonel Pickering was so glad because he came from India to meet Professor Higgins. Higgins showed his talents and he originated many bystanders from their speech. Number 11. All the bystanders went away as it stopped raining. Mrs. Ainsford and Clara found the cab and returned home without waiting for Freddie. Number 12. Higgins boasted that he could pass the flower girl off as a duchess at an ambassador's garden party within 3 months. Number 12. Higgins invited Pickering to stay with him in his house to show him his experiments. When Higgins heard the sound of the church bell, he threw some money into Eliza's basket. Number 13. Freddie came with a cab. He didn't find his mother or sister. Eliza returned home in Freddie's cab as she had plenty of money. Now we have some questions. You are going to answer these quotations on your own. Number 1. I tried as far as the Charing Cross railway station. Did you expect me to walk to Hammersmith? Number 2. And what about us? Are we to stay here all night in this drought with the next morning, you selfish pig? Quotation 3. I heard you call him by it. Don't try to deceive me. Number 4. No, then Freddie, look where you're going, dear. Number 5. I called him Freddie or Charlie, same as you might yourself if you was talking to a stranger. Number 6. You be careful. Give him a flower. Number 7. Simply phonetics. That's my profession, also my hobby. I can please any man from his speech. In 3 months, I could pass the girl off as a duchess at an ambassador's garden party.